Okay, I'm going to show you how to install this light. Here are the directions from them. I am having mine short, so I cut off all this extra wire. Just make sure you label the live, the neutral in, and the ground. The ground is never usually has plastic over it. It's just bare. So they're bare instead of copper. It's just this bare, like silver-ish color wire. And their neutral and live look the same, so you need to mark it when you cut it so you hook up the right ones. You can optionally use this chain to make your light hang as long as you want. If you do use the chain, then you would be like kind of looping that through the chain, the wires. Okay, and here's what this light looks like without the chain. And I will show you the install part. Okay, so here this comes. It doesn't come with this attached, so you want to make sure you thread the wire in through this. Okay, and then the next step is to thread this wire in through here, but make sure that this guy is on the outside of here, because if you put it together, let's say you put it like this, when you go install it, this part's just going to fall down. You need that ring to be on the outside. So it goes not that way, but this part first and this on top like that, okay? And so now if you had the chain here, you go through here, you're gonna crisscross it through your chain however you want, whatever style. You can have it straight if you want to, if that's how you like. And then at this point, you're gonna take the wires and put it through this hole. See that hole? You're gonna put it through there. That's the next step. I already cut my wires and I already stripped them with the wire stripper, okay? So you're gonna put it through here, and then you could do it in different steps. Like that could be your next step. That's what I did. And then you can, after that, you're gonna thread it through this bolt here that's gonna go up. So you need to have a bolt that has a hole in it. See how you can see through that? Okay. It's gonna go through that too. And then finally, the last step will be to twist them with this after they go up and over. Also, I already kind of figured out how I wanted mine to go. And you ask yourself, well, how did I know that? And I'll show you. So I figured for myself, So I figured the way I like the look of it is just to have this screwed in enough that it's not going to fall off, right? So you don't want it not screwed in enough that it's just going to fall off. So I had it in about like that, but I don't like these extra screw parts to show. So I want it to hang about that length, okay? So that when it's sticking out, it looks like that. So then you flip it over, and then you're gonna have to hold it up with your fingers like I'm doing to be able to estimate. And then you're gonna get this part before you put it on. You're gonna do it here, okay? And then I can't do it with one hand, but you're gonna screw this on, okay? Now for mine, I wanted to keep screwing it all the way on so it's nice and sturdy. So I adjusted these bolts here, and this gun can be adjusted too. So if you adjust these, then this can be brought down lower, which I did. So these bolts can be loosened up, and then they could be brought down, and then you tighten it, and then same with here and this plate here. So you keep adjusting those until you get it so this metal plate is even or just slightly below this rim of the white. So that way it'll be flush against your ceiling when you get it all done. You don't have to adjust it when it's up there. Okay, so if you've done it right, if you hold it and it's not falling out, it's because you have that ring, the outer ring there. And then when you look at it, you can see that the metal, so it's not, it's not even because it's like you can go like this, but try to get it as even as possible. And then just look to see if it's at or slightly below the white rim. Okay, and then you have to have enough bolt, obviously, so that it's in through here all the way. You don't want this like all the way down here, below this nut. So, okay, so now you're gonna undo it. You have it at the right level. You've already adjusted these nuts, and now you're ready to go ahead and undo it. And the other way to undo it is to twist this nut as well. I guess it's just a nut. Not this part here, the main part. So you're twisting that as you turn it. And I'm holding, with my pinky, I'm holding this bolt in still place. Okay, and just twist, 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 lefty-loosey. Okay, so this guy is completely adjusted. We can take it out now. And you can do this two ways. You can either set it aside, or you can decide to screw it up here and kind of have it loosely screwed. Oops, wrong way. This way. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it aside, and then I'm going to do my wires next. So again, make sure that you're doing it the right way. This is the wrong way. This is the right way with the loop on the outer nice part. So this is the inner part. You want to have the outer nice part with the loop, the rim there. So if you were to go here and hold this, it's not going to fall. The ring's not going to fall. Okay, so now you hold that, and then you're going to put your wires through this hole. To make it easier to get those 3 wires in, I'm going to twist them together. And I had marked this one. This is my live, my black. That's going to go to my black wire up there. So I marked it with permanent marker. It does rub off, so be careful about that. Okay, so I twisted those 3 wires together. You don't want to do it too much, otherwise it's hard to undo. So now it's ready to go through the bottom of this and through the top, okay? Okay, so your wires look like this. Yours could be really long, and if it is long, you would have gone through the chain, okay? And your chain you could connect from this into this guy here, and then this one's gonna have one of them up here as well. So you're all through here. Now your next step, you could either already connect it up here and go through the bolt that way, or you could do it separate. So I'm gonna pick this guy up, and I'm gonna put it through the part that's gonna be facing away from the ceiling, which is this end for me. So I'm starting to put it in. I'm gonna push it all the way through. Here we go. Now we pushed it all the way through. I'm gonna pull it more. Okay, so now I have it all the way through. Now what I like to do is I like to put my white on one side and my black on the other, and same with these, so that way I don't get them confused. And then I will screw this up here. So first I'll just put the black in the neutral or the ground over there, and then I'll put the neutral here. So we got the live black there in the ground, and then we have the neutral, that's earth ground, and then we have the neutral or the white on this side. And then I'm just gonna put those wires up there, not worry about it for now. Hold it in place and hold it in place, and we're gonna put the bolts in there. So like I said, if you chose not to do this yet, you could have bolted this first or screwed it in first and then put the wires. It's up to you, whichever way you think is easiest. So I loosened up my wires. I'm putting the live and the earth ground that way, and the neutral or the white on this side. Going up now. Now I'm gonna screw it in. There we go. So I just used the slots here and tightened it all the way on both sides. I don't tighten it so much that it starts to dent though. I don't think that's necessary. Now it's time to wrap the wires. So what I usually do is I line up the bottoms here, because you don't want any wire exposed for the live or neutral. This one's my neutral, my white. And then I wrap this part around, the softer wire around the harder wire. So I'll start wrapping, and I wrap it going the same way you will with the screw for tightening. So if you're facing the end of it, if you're facing the end of the wire this way, it will be clockwise, okay? Or AKA righty-tighty, right? Because that way, otherwise when you go to screw on, I don't know what they're called, I'll show you in a minute, but they're the little end caps. When you go to screw that on, if you did it the opposite way, it's just gonna undo your tightening of the wires, okay? So usually if I'm not holding a camera, I use my other hand to hold this in place. Especially, this is nice because this sits nicely on here, on my ladder. But if I don't, if it's not as long of a lighting fixture as this, I set an empty box on top of here to help it rest. Otherwise it's very awkward. And because yeah, you don't want it to, like if you drop something, you need it to be holding your fixture so you'd get down and get it. And so you just, I push in and I twist at the same time while I'm doing these. It's better again with 2 hands. Okay, I just keep going until it feels like I can't go anymore, or until it starts to twist the wires themselves. Okay, and then you can tug it, hold it here, okay, right here, see where my upper left corner there, and then kind of tug it and make sure it's on good. Okay, you don't want those wires being exposed over time, because they could, the only way is if there's like a rat or something in there, but I guess if you have a rat chewing through wires, you got a bigger problem. So anyway, but that's just a nice safety thing. Now we're gonna do the same thing. We got, this one is gonna go to the black. This was your live, or L1. It's gonna go to this black one, same way. And then this is gonna go to the ground here. You're gonna wrap that around the same way. Okay, so all 3 of these wires have caps, and I've checked them, make sure they're on tight. Now you can either assume and just kind of push them into this part to settle them, or to get them out of the way, but I have plenty of room up in here, so I just push them up in there. So push them all up in there to get them out of the way. Now, if you didn't cut your wire to exactly what you want, you're gonna have extra wire that you'll need to pull up through here. So first, this is what I'm talking about there is separate. So let's finish this part. So you push those all up. I'm gonna pause it and push that up. Okay, so I pushed that up there. The earth ground wire is pretty thick, so it's a bit harder to get up there. So what I'm talking about is, so if your wire's not quite right, the length you want, you don't want extra, you're gonna have to push it up through there like that, okay? So now, this just holds loose. You can either hold it up out of the way, it doesn't matter, and then you're gonna pull this guy up, and you're gonna start screwing here. Now it's gonna start to twist this wire, so you're gonna need to take your other hand and move the light so that your wire doesn't get all twisted down below here. So I need 2 hands to do that. So basically twist here and untwist with the light so that this wire doesn't keep wrapping around like that, see? So actually, if I'm just holding it like this with this hand and twisting with the other hand, the wire doesn't get wrapped up. So this is kind of a good setup. It just goes around that wire. I don't know why I was twisting the other way, but if it's like straight down and not at an angle, it doesn't catch on it, and you can twist that bolt up easily, or the nut up into the bolt easily, I mean. Okay, so when I got it done, it was still wobbly here. So I'm loosening up this guy and twisting more. But, so I didn't adjust it correctly. So this is wobbly. You could say, I don't care, that's good enough. Or you're gonna do what I do, is unscrew this, and then you're gonna go back up to those nuts and adjust those. So that's too bad. That's what takes the time consuming part, is if you mess up on stuff like that. But at least make sure to go your wires through. That saves you a lot of time. So I'll show you, I'm gonna undo stuff, and I'll show you where I stop at. I should mention, before I undo it, I check to see how much space I need. So it's only, for me, it's only about 1/8 of an inch that I need for this to go up in there. So the bolt is hanging down too much by 1/8 of an inch. So I need at least 1/8 of an inch for it to go back up to have a tighter fit on this. Okay, so all I did was unscrew this nut from this bolt here. Now we need to get this bolt to go up into the ceiling by at least 1/8 of an inch. So I can have these go down. So I'm loosening these up to have them go down by 1/8 of an inch. There's 2 of them. That's at least more than 1/8 of an inch there. But as you see, the bolt hasn't moved because I've got to get this part up. Now this wire is a little bit in the way. So now I'm going to loosen up this nut real quick. That is really hard for me to loosen up with my fingers there. So I'm going to go ahead and untighten those screws. Okay, silly me, you got to unscrew these screws all the way, because otherwise you can't. This guy's got to be able to rotate this plate to get down lower. So you have to unscrew these screws, both of them. Okay, so I undid mine. I'm not able to get it to move, so I'm going to get my tools to loosen that up. I definitely know it loosens up. I did it on a different one. So I got my 2 different tools to loosen this up. But since I want the bolt to go up in the ceiling more, then we want this plate and this to go down at least 1/8 of an inch. That will cause the bolt to go up in the ceiling more, which will then make this flush and tight here, not wobbly. So I need to get those 2 down. Okay, so all I needed was that guy, and I loosened him up. So looking at the top of it, it's going counterclockwise for the nut to loosen it up, which the nut is going up, and that's okay. I'm getting it out of the way because this has a little lip there. Hold on. Has a little lip here. So I'm getting it up and out of the way of this plate. Now I'm going to twist this plate righty-tighty. If you're looking at the top of the bolt, it's clockwise, righty-tighty, to go down 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to bring it all the way down to where I had those other bolts, because I knew that was at least 1/8 of an inch. So bring this up, bring this down. Feels nice and tight. And then now I'm going to righty-tighty the top nut down. All right, and that should fix my issue. So I'm going to make sure that's nice and tight, and then I'm going to screw that back up in here. And then after I screw that in, I can screw this bolt into here. Okay, so the screws are back on. I'll bring this up. Now, if you bring it up and you don't have any bolt at all left to screw on, well, this goes up in, so it's okay if it's flush even, because this still goes up in. But then if it's, if you can't see here, it's already connected. So if you can't connect before trying to screw it, then you know you did it too tight. So now, see the wires are going off to the side? You need to hold the lamp so the wires go straight down as you tighten that. Okay, so with this hand, I'm holding this down, and my right hand, I'm tightening this bolt up here. So that way the wires just go straight down and don't get wrapped around. Okay, so mine tightens nicely, but let's say you get done and you can't go anymore and this part's still loose. You can choose to tighten this guy too. So I had already preset mine and figured it out according to that. But if you don't like it and you're like, I don't want to readjust again, I don't want to unscrew it again, then just tighten that guy up. Mine's already too tight to go up more. So let me show the example. So let's say you do it, you can't go anymore with this twisting and this is loose. Mine's barely loose because, like I said, I did it kind of exact. then you would just tighten this guy. And maybe yours might show more of it and you're like, you know, I don't care though, I'm not a perfectionist. Then just do that. Save yourself some time. Okay, which I probably could have done with the other way if I wasn't so much a perfectionist. Now I'm letting this hang and then kind of holding it as I'm pushing these up in it. And then at this point, actually, I should probably, before pushing too much, get my other thing out and tie them together. I'll show you what I mean. So I have the loop of this rod, and then I have this chain link, and then I have this knob and this chain link. Now you might have chains in between these chain links. I don't. So I'm just gonna do this through here and then through that one. Okay, so this is what mine looks like for now. And as far as practicality of it, it's great because it means the wire's not getting pulled on, right? Because you don't want it, if it's like this and the wire's taut, it's pulling on your wire, which isn't good. You want all the weight to be on your chains. But since now I know, okay, this is great, then I can go ahead and push up more of this wire so it's not sticking out. But all the weight is on my chains there. And especially for me, like if you cut yours too short, you would see that where it's too tight. And I'm having a little bit of issue getting that up in there, so I might just call that good. I might go ahead and weave this through these links so that they're in there and it will look better instead of sticking out. I think I'll do that. I'll just weave them through here. And so all I have to do is loosen these out to do that. Sometimes when you get these are really tight closed and it's hard to tell which way to tighten them. So if you're at the top of this, which is the, let's see, when it's all the way down, this will look like it has more of this part, the U, than this top part here, right? So if you're looking and you're on a bird's eye view at the top of this, then it's lefty-loosey to get it to open. Lefty-loosey, counterclockwise, with your bird's eye view being at the top of this link right here. So lefty-loosey like that. To open it up, okay, and then same with this one. Open those up, and then you can feed your chain through, or your wires through, and you can, the wires had to go through your chain before you did this. That's, and I mentioned that before, but if you didn't, then you're gonna have to undo everything and weave it through, or just let it dangle if you don't care. So I've got the wires through this one, and now I will close it. Okay, and then I will do the same over here. Okay, so here we go, and then I'll just tighten this up. The wires are in the way, so I need 2 hands, probably. There we go, so that's tightened up. And the thing I forgot to mention is these, the live and the neutral wires are actually together. So I actually used a box cutter at the end of mine to be able to cut them open through the center of it. And then you can cut, if you cut it right down the center, then you could take the 2 ends and kind of pull on both ends to have it rip more. So that way I had them separate up there. But I kept them together down here for the part that's visual. So now the next step is to put the bulb in and to turn on the switch in the fuse box for this light. So I had the bulb in, and the other way to make sure that you don't have power is before you take the old one out, is just to try to turn on your light. So for example, right now I keep the light switch off just in case, but I would turn it on when I had the old one and check it. So here I turn this on if it's not running. This is my fan and it's not running. So that tells me that I had turned off the correct switch for the fuse box. Now, if you're in an apartment, I wouldn't recommend this, but if you want to live dangerously, you could just make sure your light switch is off, because those wires shouldn't have electricity there, but then use a digital multimeter to check that, because you don't want to get electrocuted. Do I recommend that? No. Do your fuse box just in case, because who knows, you could be working on it, someone could come by and be like, why is the light not working, right? When you're touching a wire and you get electrocuted and you die. So it's best to do your fuse box and know what you're doing. Okay, your fuse box should look like something like this. I just turned off all my lights. So now they're back on, and I'll go check my structure, or my lighting fixture. Okay, that light that's going on right now is my remote light. Yay, it works. The next step is to clean up your tools. Right, and there you have it. And this is my laundry room, and the reason I chose this light is when I have it on 6,500 lumens, so that's a cool light bulb, then it's enough light in here, and I wanted this so that way I have shelves and I'm going to be getting things out of them. I wanted so if someone actually hits it, it can move, or if the light happened to line up with one of the plastic bins, you could still get it out. So that's why I chose it. Otherwise, I had thought about doing one of those lights. It's the same company, it matches and it has 2 light bulbs, and I really like those as well. But I decided to go against it. It was just a little bit too tight for the getting the bends out. For me, I probably wouldn't have a problem, but my kids might have. So I figured the other one was safer. But all of these are just so pretty. And this one was easy to put in, so I didn't do a how-to video on this one. This one was a little bit more challenging. So, and I went to ITT Tech and would have gotten a degree for being a technician. So I'm not scared of doing any of this stuff. I ended up getting a master's in electrical and computer engineering. So I don't do this for a living, but I'm too cheap to hire someone to do it because I don't have a job right now. So I thought this might help out other people who are trying to put this up because it is such a pretty light and I just love it. The second place I have it here is in this walk-in closet, which is really weird because they have attic access there. And so again, I didn't want the other one, the bigger light, it would have been where part of that corner is open. So I would have had to do something for that. So it wouldn't get like bugs living inside the lamp or the light. But this one's nice too, because if they accidentally hit it, it's not going to break anything. And so hopefully if they hit it really hard, it doesn't break the crystals. But I figure it should be enough. And yeah, it's really weird with the attic access here because if that door is the sheetrock door, so it needs to change because I get sheetrock dust all over in the closet.